What's up guys? So today's video is the Gemini video. We are already that far through the year. Similar to how I did both Aries and Taurus, we're just going to sort of make our way through all of the different parts of it, such as the mythology behind the sign, the ruling planets, the astrological house that it is associated with, all that sort of stuff. Try to get a really clear picture of what a Gemini person is like. Starting off with just the little summary that the Wikipedia page for it gives us. It's the third astrological sign, so we know that's going to be the third house in the zodiac, obviously originating from the constellation of Gemini. It is a positive mutable sign. It is also our first air sign. Under the tropical zodiac, it transits the sign between May and June, exact dates being the 20th of both months respectively, and it's represented by the twins Castor and Pollux, which are also known as the Dioscuri. Now, before we go down onto that little sidebar that Wikipedia likes to give us, let's dive into said mythology. Alright, so Castor and Pollux, or as the Romans called him, Polygices, were twin half-brothers in the Greek and Roman mythology, known together as the Dioscuri. Their mother was Leda, but they had different fathers. Castor was the mortal son of Tyndareus, the king of Sparta, while Pollux was the divine son of Zeus, who seduced Leda in the guise of a swan. Both between this sign, like mythology here, and probably mythology for Taurus, you're probably getting a sense that bestiality is a recurring theme in Greek mythology, and you wouldn't be wrong. The pair are thus an example of heteropaternal superfecundation. I'm hoping I pronounced that right. I feel like I screwed up that word, but that's how we said it. Though accounts of their birth are varied, they are sometimes said to have been born from an egg, along with their twin sisters, Clytemnestra, who goes on to marry the Greek general Agamemnon, and her twin sister, Helen of Troy. Yes, that Helen of Troy. So in Latin, the twins are also known as the Gemini, hence the name for the sign, and it literally just means twins, or the Castores, as well as the Tyndaridae, or Tyndarids. They did also fight in the Trojan War, and during the war, Castor was mortally wounded, and Pollux asked Zeus, his father, to allow him to share his own immortality with his twin so they could be together forever, and thus they were transformed into the constellation Gemini. The pair are regarded as the patron saints, as the patrons of sailors, to whom they appeared as St. Elmo's fire. They were also associated with horsemanship, keeping with their origin as the Indo-European horse twins. So cool, that we know where we're getting it from. They happen to also be involved in the fourth generation of the House of Atreus myth, which is possibly my favourite Greek myth. That's how much of a nerd I am. I have favourite Greek myths. So obviously we've talked about the constellation. Alright, so let's have a look. Now, air signs are the keywords and sort of personalities for air signs, of which Gemini is one, is communication, socialization, and conceptualization. If you want to sort of throw this into a pop culture reference, that might make it a little bit easier. Air is basically what the house of Ravenclaw represents. So intelligence and wit and creativity, all that sort of thing. And you can actually find that will remain true for all of the other houses as well. Gemini is our first mutable sign. So obviously Aries was our cardinal, then we had our fixed as Taurus. This is our first mutable sign. So Gemini are adaptable, flexible and resourceful, which when you put that together with them being great communicators and socializers and able to conceptualize ideas and stuff, having the adaptability, flexibility and resourcefulness sort of backing them up on their way to sort of creating whatever it is their ideas are, is kind of a good thing. So that's our air and our mutability. Now its sign ruler is Mercury and its detriment is Jupiter. On the Wikipedia page you will notice that its exaltation and its fall are the North and the South Node respectively, which is basically just the North and South Pole, just sort of where they would sit in the celestial sphere rather than actually on the planet. So all we're going to be looking at here is sign ruler Mercury and detriment Jupiter. Right. Where is Mercury? Here we go. Alright, the ruling planet of Gemini is also exalted in Virgo and Aquarius, which is kind of funny that it's exalted in Virgo and Aquarius. Aquarius is also an air sign. Virgo is an earth sign similar to Taurus, meaning that there's a sign that follows it. Libra is the other air sign. So Mercury almost has a monopoly on air signs. In classical Roman mythology, Mercury is the messenger god, noted for his speed and swiftness. Echoing this, the scorching airless world of Mercury circles the sun on the fastest orbit of any planet. Obviously, it has the smallest orbit to complete, so obviously it's going to complete its faster. It only takes 88 days to orbit the sun, spending about 7.3 days in each sign of the zodiac. So just over a week in each sign. Mercury is so close to the sun that only a brief period exists after the sun has set, where it can be seen with the naked eye before following the sun beyond the horizon. And obviously you wouldn't be able to see it in the morning, because if it's following the sun, the sky's already bright enough that it would just blend in. Astrologically speaking, it represents the principles of communication, mentality, thinking patterns, rationality and reasoning, as well as adaptability and variability. It governs schooling and education, the immediate environment of neighbours, siblings and cousins, transport over short distances, kind of like its orbit, messages and forms of communication such as post, email, telephone, newspapers, such as post, email and telephone. There really should be semicolons here instead of just a bunch of commas, but anyway. But yeah, forms of communication referencing the fact that Mercury was the herald of the gods. Newspapers, journalism and writing, information gathering skills and physical dexterity, obviously also referencing the fact that he was the fastest of the gods. In medicine, Mercury is associated with the nervous system, the brain, the respiratory system, the thyroid and the sense organs. It's traditionally held to be essentially cold and dry according to its placement in the zodiac and in any aspects to other planets. Now, if I'm not mistaken, if we're going on a 2x2 grid of hot and cold and wet and dry, cold and dry is actually earth, like the element of earth. air is hot and wet by comparison. In modern astrology, Mercury is regarded as the ruler of the third house, similar to the planet that it's the sign ruler for. This just makes sense, really. Traditionally, it had joy in the 11th house. Mercury is the messenger of the gods in mythology. It is the planet of day-to-day expression and relationships, and its action is to take things apart and put them back together again. It's an opportunistic planet, undecidedly emotional and curious. We did kind of cover the taking things apart and putting them back together again bit in our monthly symbols video. So if you want to see that, a link will be in the description with all of my other links. Mercury rules over Wednesday. In Romance languages, the word for Wednesday is often similar to Mercury. For instance, the Italian word for Wednesday is Mercoledì. Dante Alighieri associated Mercury with the liberal art of dialectic, which I'm gonna leave to you guys to explore. That's not really what we're here to talk about. We're not here to talk about Dante Alighieri's liberal arts. And in Chinese astrology, Mercury represents water, the fourth element, therefore symbolizing communication, intelligence, and elegance. All right. Now, from that, and being an air sign, we can see that there's a lot of things going over the top of each other, such as, obviously, Mercury here is very big on the whole like intelligence and wisdom side of things, which also makes sense if you're looking at how we named our days in English. Our days are named after Odin from Norse mythology, who was the god of wisdom. So there's a bit of overlap there, basically sort of telling us that Wednesday is sort of the day for intelligence and wisdom and thinking and all that sort of stuff. And as well as, what was the other one I was looking at? There was a couple other bits in there that I was looking at as having some overlap. And I can't think of what they were now. I think it had something to do with immutability, maybe. But yeah, communication is what it was. Came up quite a bit. So obviously, Geminis are good communicators, which is really cool. This thing could just, without sliding, that'd be great. Alright, so now going to its detriment, which, as we discussed before, is Jupiter. Alright. So, in traditional ruling, it's the planet, like the ruling planet for Sagittarius and Pisces, and it's exalted in Cancer, which is, funnily enough, our next sign. So we will be talking about this again in about a month. So maybe we'll keep this one shorter. Actually, you know what? We're just going to look at we'll go through the full thing when we get to Cancer. I'm just going to find here we go. Astrologically speaking, Jupiter is associated with the principles of growth, expansion, healing, prosperity, good fortune, and miracles. It governs long distance and foreign travel, as opposed to Mercury's short distance, more domestic travel, big business and wealth, higher education, echoing the fact that Mercury was also an educator, religion, and the law. Religion makes sense here. Jupiter is named after the Roman name for the god Zeus, who is obviously king of the gods. So having religion be under his area of influence, as it were, makes kind of a bit of a sense. It's also associated with the urge for freedom and exploration, as well as gambling and merrymaking. And if you know any Greek myths pretty much at all, even if it's only one, you know that Zeus was one for a lot of merrymaking. If merrymaking means making babies. Cool. So that's where as far as we're gonna go into Jupiter there, because we are going to be coming back to the whole thing in a month, and I don't really want to be repeating myself and boring you guys with stuff that I've already mentioned. So that's our planets. Alright, where's the third house? The house of communications. Of course it is. Alright, so the interpretation for the third house. Communication, happiness, intelligence, and development, like mental development, any achievements, siblings, locomotion and transportation, and ephemera. This is what comes under it. It is a cadent house, which just means that it relates to the mutable signs, and obviously sits in the air triplicity, where the keywords there are social and intellectual. Really just sort of driving home those two specific points. They are social, intellectual, and if we're going to include the modality, they're resourceful. There's your three big words for a Gemini. Cool. Alright, and that pretty much ends everything as far as Wikipedia is concerned. So we'll go on to the last two sites that we have, same as what I did last time. Is it just me, or did it just get a lot darker? Let me just... Cool. I don't know if that improved or not. Whatever. Cool. So, on horoscope.com, spirit color is yellow. It's the only one it gives. And I do think I mentioned this in the video as well. Yellow was sort of the color for May as well, because it's the only spirit color, only consistent spirit color, I should say, for Gemini, and was also shared by Taurus. Its lucky gems are the tiger's eye and the emerald. Its flowers are lavender and lily of the valley, and its best matches, as far as compatibility is concerned, is Aries or Leo, both of which are fire signs, neither of which is mutable. So both of those would have pretty much completely different personalities, but there's obviously enough sort of slight overlap with them both being in the positive or extroverted polarity, however you want to look at it, that they're able to have something in common. Alright, now we could go on forever on this. Again, a lot of this stuff I'm just going to leave for you guys to read. If it interests you, if you are a Gemini, obviously all the links below are going to be for the Geminis. So let's dive in. Smart, passionate, and dynamic. Geminis are known for having two different sides that they can display to the world. Expert communicators, they are the chameleon of the zodiac, adept at blending into different groups based on the vibe and energy they perceive. That's just part of them being a mutable sign. Most mutable signs will be able to blend in a bit, but considering that Gemini's got the intelligence and communication bit working for them and the social aspect working for them, they probably are going to be able to just slide into any group. matter what, and fit kind of well depending on the group's dynamic. While they're also amazing at showcasing surface traits, the Gemini well runs deep, which is why the twins are one of the zodiac's most emotionally intelligent signs. Energetic and quick-witted, Gemini never gets stuck in the past and doesn't ruminate on what might have been. Wonder what that's like. Instead, they move forward with glass half full optimism and an ability to always look on the bright side and land on their feet in nearly every situation. With a mind that's constantly racing, I know exactly what that's like. Even when they're just quietly hanging out, the twins never get bored. In fact, they're happy keeping their own company and can often turn their solitary daydreams into reality. Geminis are in love with love, and they adore the ritual of it all, from those "do you like me" butterflies to the anticipation of a back and forth text volley. They love dating, and the world loves Gemini, apparently. But a Gemini will eventually settle down, because this sign is incredibly loyal and steadfast once they've chosen a partner. Let's be clear though, steadfast should not be taken as code for boring. I'm not taking a side note there, that's literally what it reads. Gemini always love to keep things fresh and happy and try almost anything in the bedroom. They're proud of their sexuality and depend on frequent physical check-ins to keep them grounded in their body. To them, sex is a celebration of life, and Gemini loves both sex and life. Despite their unfair rep for being two-faced, I think mainly because they're the only sign that has two faces in its symbol. So once a Gemini, so despite that rep, once a Gemini is in your life, they're loyal for life. They aren't afraid to voice their opinion if they feel you're doing something they disagree with, or if they perceive you as not being loyal to them. Always a sign to see all of the situation. They may seek input from friends before going to the root of the problem. It's not gossiping, it's gathering information, and I will admit, I do this a little bit as well. I try not to judge one side or the other in a particular argument. I get the information from both sides before I form an opinion. Continuing, even though Gemini is easily the life of the party without trying, the twins also have a deep emotional side that needs care and feeding. Gemini like time by themselves to read, create, daydream, and come up with other ways of sharing their gifts with the world. When a Gemini can truly tap in and share their gifts, they're an unstoppable force of energy that can motivate, inspire, and enchant the rest of the zodiac. Now, the rest of this has a whole bunch of stuff that you can read on your own. We're going to get the last site that I've got. I'll make this super quick. Lucky numbers for Gemini, as astrology zodiac signs will tell us: 5, 7, 14, and 23. I'm not sure why the 7's in there, otherwise all of them, as far as numerology is concerned, equal to 5. Strengths: they're gentle, affectionate, curious, adaptable. They have the ability to learn quickly and exchange ideas. Their weaknesses: they can be nervous, inconsistent, and sometimes indecisive. They like music. At this point, who doesn't like music? I think is the question. When I find a sign that doesn't like music, we will, but they like music, books, magazines. They will chat with nearly anyone. These are the people that can speak with a mouth full of wet cement at the bottom of a pool, as well as they enjoy short trips around town. They dislike being alone, as opposed to being on their own, which obviously came up earlier. Being on their own and being alone are two different things. Gemini don't like being confined, they don't like repetition, and they don't like routine, which is probably why it's hard for me to get into one. Because I feel like that's an air thing, and obviously Libra is an air sign, as I'm pretty sure I've mentioned in the last 3 of these videos. Cool. Yeah, why not? We'll read this top bit, and then the bottom parts of both these last 2 sites will be up for you guys. Alright, so being very quick here. Expressive and quick-witted, Gemini represents 2 different personalities in one, and you will never be sure which one you will face. They're sociable, communicative, and ready for fun, with a tendency to suddenly get serious, thoughtful, and restless. They are fascinated with the world itself, extremely curious, with a constant feeling there is not enough time to experience everything they want to see. The sign of Gemini belongs to the element air, accompanied by Libra and Aquarius, and this connects it to all aspects of the mind. It's ruled by Mercury, the planet that represents communication, writing, and movement. People born under this sun sign often have a feeling that their other half is missing, so they're forever seeking new friends, mentors, colleagues, and people to talk to. Their changeable and open mind makes them excellent artists, especially writers and journalists, and their skills and flexibility make them shine in trade, driving, and team sports. This is a versatile, inquisitive, fun-loving sign born with a wish to experience everything there is out there in the world. This makes their character inspiring and never boring. And yeah, I think that's where we're going to leave it. Similar to last time, I will have my astrology playlist in the links below as well as the Gemini playlist on Spotify, if you want to be listening to what Spotify has determined to be your music. So if you're curious about that, those links will be down below for all the Geminis out there. And until next time, guys, keep your head screwed on.